Welcome to the Transform Sales Podcast, where forward-thinking business leaders come to share their experiences and ideas, learn from each other, and amplify their results together.
All right, how we doing, everybody? Sahil, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Awesome, doing great as well. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions around Darwinian Ventures, but why don't we start learning a little bit more about your background and how you got into sales? Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Right after graduating college, first job was selling myself in a small business that I started, and I found the best part about it was everything customer facing. So going out, doing my pitches, things like that. So my first real 9 to 5 job was at a early stage SaaS company. Started as a BDR, worked my way up to enterprise account executive. Did that a couple more times, and
Okay.
I've really been drawn to early stage sales. So working with early stage companies and not only doing the selling, but helping to kind of build the process from scratch. And then after doing that for several years, we just decided to start our own business. I have a business partner. He lives in San Francisco. And really, I think, early stage founders need a lot of help. And that's the reason we started this company, is to be a strategic partner to help early stage companies grow their sales.
Wonderful. And it definitely seems like you have the right background. You mentioned you started as a BDR yourself, so you've grown through the ranks.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that you did that multiple times, so multiple journeys doing that, and now you're
Mm-hmm.
helping companies that are going through the same. So you definitely have the perspective, the experience. You've iterated multiple times, and
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely some expertise to the seasonality there. Now, you were mentioning also early stage companies. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me a little bit about Darwinian Ventures and specifically who are the best fit customers for you guys today?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we work with businesses all different shapes and sizes, but I'd say 80 to 90% of our business is focused directly on early stage
Mhm.
B2B SaaS companies. So I would say at the seed Series A stage, where there's a lot of building and a lot of kind of figuring out things along the way. Processes aren't really repeatable. Um, those are the folks that we have a really high success rate, and really who I work with the most.
Okay, perfect. So SaaS companies, B2B, without a repeatable process, is still through their growing stages, trying to
Hmm.
identify who's the right audience, what is the right way to package their product, what's the right value prop. Now, is there a specific target audience that you have a preference reaching out to? For instance, if it's a SaaS reaching to financial companies, or a SaaS reaching to healthcare, to manufacturing, education, do you have a
Hmm.
preference on the target audience?
Yeah, I'll tell you who we usually don't work with is folks that are selling into like really heavily regulated industries, where
Mhm.
oftentimes they're not actually prepared for some of the red tape around security requirements or certifications or things like that. Selling to city state government usually aren't things that we do too much, but um, recently, like over the past year and a half, we've found that our clients that are selling to really like the entire business, um, like range from SMB to mid market to enterprise, like products that have applications in all of those are where we have success. I think if folks are early stage and you're selling into like large enterprise, like just the Fortune list, for example, you might not be ready to have like a direct sales channel. There's probably some better ways to go out into the market. But if you're selling SMB mid market and you have, different use cases or packages that could service that, there's a big opportunity for us because you get a lot into that like tactical sales experience, like high volume, fast moving deals, things like that.
Okay, it sounds like the main opportunity to work with Darwinian Ventures is, as you said, I can package my product or my services in multiple ways to appeal a few different audiences in a few
Right.
different ranges of sizes.
Yep.
And you guys have the expertise to bring in the, let's say, split test or A B test strategies, and try to
Hmm.
find those verticals, those niches, those pockets, and be able to convert from there. And you mentioned at the end high velocity interaction. So there may be some high ticket deals, but how about you tell me maybe average deal value that you typically work with?
Yeah, man, it varies. So like just right now on our roster, we have someone selling to auto mechanics, like mom and pop tire shops, $2,000 ARR per deal, all the way up to folks that are in the sustainability space where they're selling like hardware plus software to
Okay.
large enterprises, and those are 500,000 plus deals. So we have the skill set on the team. I have a team of managing directors that have kind of different concentrations and areas of expertise.
Okay, wonderful. So it seems like this service that you offer through Darwinian Ventures can cover a wide range of needs in the
hmm
sales pipeline or sales department.
hmm
How about you tell me about one specific service that you have offered in the past and a success story that one of your customers got? Which service would you like to highlight?
Yeah, so we have what we call sales as a service, SaaS. Really, it's like a fully turnkey service offering. So if you look at a seed stage company, they spent their previous funding cycle building the product and MVP. Then they've acquired some capital to really prove out that whatever product they have can be repeatable. They can sell it, and they can sell it many times to hit $1 million in ARR or something. So um, this offering is completely turnkey, where we're working with businesses that usually don't have much at all. So the offering entails bringing in a CRM and the relevant tools. So we build the infrastructure from scratch. Then we actually will start executing lead generation. So we want to see how quickly we can get um, you know enough opportunities in the pipeline so the founders are pitching their product to strangers. And then
Okay.
once we feel like we have enough pipeline, then we actually either pivot our strategy or help with deal closing. So like full funnel experience, because a lot of the founders, they've never sold before. They can talk about their product and their features, but they don't know how to run a sales cycle. So it's truly turnkey.
Right. It sounds like this is meant for people that have probably on those early stages. You mentioned the first round of funding could be developing their product. So they've grown organically, people in their network, and they really haven't exercised that muscle
Right.
of outbound sales. And that's
hmm
where you guys come in. Hey, let's be more intentional. Let's build the tech from scratch, as you mentioned. Give me an example of a typical or a preferred. Is there such a thing as a preferred CRM dialer combo that you work with?
Yeah, look, I mean, at the end of the day, we're unbiased. Like, I don't really make my money off of partner stack or anything like that. I try to give my clients a complete unbiased recommendation, but if it was up to me, and I'd say more often than not, CRM, we're using HubSpot just because it does a lot. A lot of our clients are going to conferences. I can build them landing pages, things like that. For data, as part of my service offering, um, clients can use my data on
Hmm.
behalf of, like, we can use it on behalf of our clients. They don't have to pay any data charges. So right now we have subscriptions to Apollo and also Cognism. As far as dialing, we love Nooks. We're a virtual sales team. My reps are completely remote every hour. We dial together. We get into the war room. You just can't beat that camaraderie. They also have the power and parallel dialer. For email warming, we use MailReach. For recording our calls, we use Fathom. And that's usually like the stack that we start with. And then there's some nuances depending on like what type of business the client is in, right?
Awesome. I want to recap a couple of those things, Sahil, because if you're an entrepreneur in these stages where you're just growing, not familiar with Outbound, a couple of these names will probably fly over your head. So
hmm
let me just pause here for a second. HubSpot, one of the greatest CRMs that we have today, very user friendly, started as a marketing automation platform. Therefore,
hmm
why you mentioned, hey, if we have landing pages, email campaigns, it's somewhat easy to manage, somewhat easy or friendly user interface with a very robust academy.
hmm
You mentioned that you have proprietary data, but that you can also access Apollo, another CRM could be used as a CRM, could be used as a sequencer, but you also use it as a database.
Hmm.
I believe they're powered by, I may be mistaken though, I don't want to give wrong information. But you also said, hey, we all have access to information from Cognism. Cognism provides intent data. So online behaviors, keywords that people may be looking for, those could be relevant signals for when you're doing outbound. If they're browsing
Hmm.
for XYZ solutions and we offer something similar, how about we talk to that company?
Hmm.
Now, the next thing you mentioned was Nooks. This is a
Hmm.
dialer,
Hmm.
a dialing system. It allows people to not only, of course, communicate, but also create lists of contacts that you're going to outbound, therefore being more productive, right, Sahil?
Hmm.
You
You can do
mentioned
up to
parallel
like
dialing.
5, 10 calls at one time. Exactly.
Correct. Multiple dials, and when as soon as one line is connected, someone picks up the phone on the other side. The other lines are hung up, and then you get to speak with the person that
Hmm.
picked up the phone. That's beautiful.
Hmm.
Now, mail reach, you mentioned for email warming. This is important if you're going to start doing outbound. You have not done that before on a specific email domain because you don't want to hurt deliverability, meaning the likelihood that the messages that you're sending either to
Hmm.
partners, customers, or prospective customers
Hmm.
are actually landing and being delivered at the inbox as opposed to being flagged because all of a sudden you started sending thousands of emails per day on an account that was never warmed up, was never meant
Hmm.
for that. So that's almost perceived as a let's say, fishy behavior. Awesome. Call recordings pretty useful and important, especially if you're growing, because you not only want to know about what's working, but also what is not working. Why are people
Hmm.
saying no? And that allows you to get some sort of analysis. Question, Sahil, for these type of services, do you have a fixed price per month, or does it change depending on the stage where you're at? Help me understand that a little bit, please.
Yeah, it's a combination of base plus commission. It varies to a degree depending on like how early, how much traction, what level of like expertise is required. But generally speaking, we're in the, I don't know, 17K to 19K per month range. Um, and then we usually go for about 4 months. Plus, there's like incentives and commissions in that.
Okay, perfect. 4 months where you go through the onboarding, iteration processes, you
Hmm.
create some content. Help me. Let's go back, take it back a little bit. We disclose, or let's say we broke down the part of the tech stack that's included in the initial setup. The second thing that you mentioned after that was doing the lead generation, right? Hey,
Hmm.
we identify this is what you do, this is what you sell.
Hmm.
Now you have a system ready to execute outbound. Now let's go
Hmm.
ahead and identify who we're going to sell to. When it comes to generating lead lists, you mentioned that you use proprietary data, Polo Cognism. Let's say we build a lead list already. Do you have a number of leads that you prospect on a monthly basis on average? Is there a preferred number, or does it always change?
It usually changes depending on the client and the industry. If we're going up market, it's much more quality over quantity, where
Hmm.
maybe every single touch is personalized. So, you know, touching maybe 25 prospects a day, something like that. Um, but if we're going down market, there's bigger TAMs. There's a lot more like unknown. We need to get a bunch of, just conversations going. We'll really scale it up. Sometimes we do just dialing only campaigns, or we don't even send emails. My team is really good on the phones.
Okay.
But it just varies. What we don't do is provision like several email addresses and send, thousands of emails a week.
Mhm.
We like to just do kind of one rep and one account, because ultimately we're looking for conversions, not volume. So
Okay, perfect. Now, do you guys also, you mentioned you use phone, email. Do you guys also use LinkedIn for
yeah,
outreach?
yeah. Yep.
Okay, perfect. And is there an average number of touches that one lead would receive in, let's say, a given time, 2 weeks to a month?
Yeah, more than 10. More than
More than
10
10
touches.
touches to
Yeah.
reach a
Yeah, yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hmm.
Now, help me understand. Let's say we go further down reporting. You're executing the sequence. What type of reports can your customers expect? Is there like a dashboard? Are there meetings that they have feedback loops on? Help me understand that element.
Yeah, look, I mean, our approach, I think is a little novel. Like when I work with my clients, it's literally like we're part of the team. We go to conference with them. We go to their QBRs. On LinkedIn, people change their titles and everything like that. When I work with a client, I actually build them like their own bespoke CRM that's catered to their sales process, like the whole thing. And there's always like a lead generation or like a top of the funnel dashboard. There's a deal closing dashboard. So every client has access to their own CRM because it's theirs. And we highlight, I'd say, 10 to 15 reports that I think we use to make sense of like what's happening, right? So prospecting activity, your sequence performance and metrics, your campaign, like your ICP performance metrics. When we're dialing, we look at calls. More important, the conversion rate. So your pickup to meeting book rate, we're targeting above a 15%, at least 20% for our like long-term clients. We're looking at meetings by source. A lot of the clients I'm working with, we're going to conferences. They're trying other experiments in tandem with lead generation. And then we have all your deal stuff. So your forecast, time to close, average contract values, number of touches per deal, things like that. And that's all just right in their dashboard that we review every single week for sure.
Wonderful. So weekly performance reviews plus dashboards that not only give visibility of productivity, but also conversion numbers. What is going on even beyond, it seems, please correct me if I'm wrong, beyond let's say if you're just booking appointments and they're closing the deals, you can still show that visibility or those conversions and how opportunities move. Perfect.
Yeah.
So sales as a service. Now, a couple more things I wanted to ask you around the target audience of your customers. Let's say I have a SaaS company and I'm looking to outsource sales. Is there a limitation when it comes to languages, geographies? You mentioned industries, as in not heavily regulated, not government, right? But what about geographies and languages?
Yeah, definitely. We really only focus in the U.S. and Canada as far as like hunting.
Okay, perfect. US and Canada in English campaigns.
Yeah.
Now, going back to the success story and the example that you were sharing, can you tell me a couple more details around the results that you were able to get for your customer? What type of scenario were they at the beginning? How many deals were they closing? Whether or if anything through outbound, and what results were you able to get for them after how long?
For sure. We've got several of these. I mean, one example is a legal tech company. I can't really disclose the name of it, but when we started working with them, they had 2 deals. They were at 40K ARR. Deals came in by way of their investors. This was our standard service offering where I staffed in, I don't know, like a half-time head of sales, a full-time, completely dedicated sales rep, and we kind of built their stack from scratch. And in 10 months, we took them to 2 million in ARR. And it was a combination of both outbound lead generation and going to conferences, which is also sort of like outbound lead generation, like pre-conference outreach, post-conference outreach. And we did 2 million in about 10 months with them.
Okay, so around or a little bit less than $20,000 per month.
Yeah.
And about 8 to 9 months, you mentioned? I'm
10
sorry,
months.
6 to 9?
10 months.
10 months. Okay, 10 months. So almost 200K, and you build them a 2 million pipeline.
Closed.
Closed deals, not even pipeline.
Closed.
So you close $2 million in revenue after them working with you for 10 months. Perfect. Those are great results. That's a great ROI. I hope your customer is happy, continues to be happy and renewed. Now, how about we wrap up this episode then, because you've given me some details around your services and the sales as a service offering. How about you give me some advice for someone in the audience listening to this episode and considering to hire Darwinian Ventures? What would you tell them if they want to increase the probabilities of achieving results fast with Darwinian Ventures?
For sure. I mean, beyond kind of like the standard checklist items. Number one, you have to have the runway. You have to be able to afford go to market. It's not something you can, commit to for, a quarter and then call it quits. Number two is time. We don't require a lot of time. When we work with our founders, they're busy people, but we do require some. For an early stage founder, you have to have the mindset that we're going to try some experiments and we're going to fail. And together, because you're the expert in the industry and I'm the expert in the sales, we're going to be able to make changes and implement them. And lastly, you need to have an open mind, because most of the time I'm working with founders where they're the industry expert and I'm the sales expert. So when I tell them we need 10 minutes at the end of a call to get next steps, like, you have to listen to that. And together, that's how we succeed.
Okay, wonderful. I really like those tips because they come from experience. It really sounds like you've been around the block, you've tried them multiple times. So number one, I want to recap that real quick. Runway. Be able to afford a couple of months of testing, iterating, trying new messaging, trying a new niche, a new pocket, and not just giving away when the first batch of templates, you send them over and they didn't convert or get as many opens or clicks as you expected, right?
Or fire your team. You can't fire your team if you've had one failure, right? Because it's more expensive to go rehire someone else to do it.
A complete team. Yeah. Perfect. So do have at least have those expectations up front, understand how long is your runway, discuss it with you transparently. And if that's something you can work with, by all means, let's jump ahead. Otherwise, we're better off saving each other some headaches, right? The next one that you mentioned pretty much aligned, which was time. If you decided to invest in outsourcing sales the right way, also invest some time. It's not just the monetary factor of throwing dollars at an issue, hoping that it will get fixed automatically, but also invest the time. As you said, they have the expertise in the industry. They've been developing the product. They have the best hypotheses on how to better serve their customers or potential customers. You just want a little bit of that hand holding at the beginning while you do the tests, the iterations. You probably get some objections, and you want to pipe their expertise as to how they've handled that in the past to take your best guesses, put your sales expertise, sprinkle that secret sauce on top, and be able to convert and build a great pipeline. I really like that. And then, of course, be open-minded to try, to test, to have quick, I would imagine, great communication and feedback loops, right? To quickly iterate over what's working or what's not. Wonderful. Those are great advices. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap up this amazing episode?
No, I'm all good on my end. I appreciate the time, Eddie.
Awesome, Sahil. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. Anyone that's considering listening to the episode and considering to work with Darwinian Ventures, you can look for them in the Cloutas Marketplace. Sahil, it's been a pleasure. Hope to see you on the next one. Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned.
Thank you.